Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daniel Dotse. I'm the founder and chief executive of Lead for Ghana, which is an organization expanding educational opportunities to all children in Ghana. Today, I'm very excited to be hosting and moderating this pitch. Um, and before we move forward, I just wanted to give you an idea of what the format looks like. So we have six founders, teachers, and thinkers that are um, designing solutions to some of the biggest educational challenges we have in the world. They will have 5 minutes each to present their ideas. We have the jury here that would give them feedback and advice. And then after everyone has pitched the idea, the juries will go and deliberate, and then they will tell us who the winner is. Okay, so it's that simple. For the jury today, we have Dr. Haris Hassabis, who is the Managing Director of Universidad, Europea, a leading network of universities across Spain and Portugal. We have Linzi Boyd. Linzi is the author of Brand Famous, founder of Bob Group. We have Nisha Ligan. He's the CEO of Ubongo, Africa's leading kids edutainment company, and a 2017 WISE Award laureate. And we have Mohammed Kekalov, a student in the Azerbaidjan State University of Economics. I always love it when we have students serving as judges on some of these panels. That's not you. It's somebody else. Okay. So to get started, our very first speaker for today is Hasnain Badami. This is the Chief Strategy Officer at Learning Pitch. Please join me in welcoming Hasnain.
So I'm Hasnain Badami. I'm co-founder of an educational technology startup, which is Learning Pitch. Let me just give you a little context before I show you how we are transforming the accounting education of Pakistan. Pakistan is a nation of 200 million plus people, where more than 35% of people are actually less than 14 years of age. So definitely it's going to be a lot of people coming into the economy. And we have severe challenges in terms of there are threefold challenges actually. One is the quality of education, the other is the accessibility of education, and the third is the affordability of education. So what happens is, especially my talk will primarily be focusing on the financial literacy part of the 21st century skills. So I've been teaching since 2012, and I've taught more than 2,600 plus students, and primarily in accounting education. I'm myself a chartered accountant, with also having a background in humanities, with a master's in philosophy as well. So I've been thinking primarily on how to basically make things easy for educators and for students in Pakistan. So if I talk about the three problems, the first problem was accessibility of education. The first problem, because primarily we have some good institutes in the large, in the major cities of and very urban areas of Pakistan, for example, Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. But definitely the less urban areas, the suburban areas, definitely the very majority of the population resides, do not have the opportunity, primarily accounting education. The reason why we are focusing on accounting education is that a lot of professions in Pakistan, education in Pakistan is very expensive. So what happens is more than 30 to 35% of a personal budget of any household goes into education if you want to get some good quality education. Accounting education is one thing that probably in the in Pakistan, which is very much affordable, which used to be affordable actually 10 years ago, but now in the last 10 years that has become really, really expensive. So and accounting education, when you do CA or you do ACCA, you get really good jobs, and it actually lifts up you to another socio-economic cadre. So that's a really easy barrier to entry to another socio-economic cadre. So, but in the last 10 years, affordability became a problem. Accessibility was already a problem for majority of the Pakistan students. And then the third problem was quality of education. quality of education, if I talk about the opportunities, the quality of tutors, even in urban areas, many institutes do not have quality tutors in Pakistan. So there's a kind of dearth of quality tutors in Pakistan. So now we found technology as a space or as a solution, as a space where solution could be provided. So what we did was we started off Learning Pitch, and for the first platform we launched on Learning Pitch was the School of Business Education. That's tsbeducation.com. So we are doing ACC and CA courses. What we have done is we have 4 studios where we have tutors and institutions coming. So teachers had a problem. They wanted to go online, but they did not have the platform actually. So our platform was providing teachers that kind of social media support, that kind of infrastructure support, that kind of learning management system. And we're using OpenEdX as an LMS. And that entire infrastructure was provided to tutors. If anybody wants to go online, they used to just come to us, and then we used to give them, and we give them the entire platform. So they don't need to worry about finance, administration, social media, or marketing, and they don't need to worry about the technology or camera and stuff like that. So we have a pretty good team which is working on technology, post-production editing. So we launched in October 2018. We launched our first course, and within a month we got 100+ enrollments, and those were paid enrollments, all right. And because there were exams ahead of our launch. So and within a year's time we have launched 7+ courses. So I'd like to show one. I think I have my. So I do have it, all right. So within a year's time, we have 658 total paid enrollments, and with a total revenue of USD $33,000+, with an annual monthly growth rate of 11% in our revenue. So month-on-month growth rate is like 11%, and we have sold courses because we are doing. Our solution is in local language. So we believe that if we speak in local language, the comprehension is enhanced. So our students have enrolled courses from 20+ countries and 31+ cities. So this is what we have achieved in the last 12 to 14 months. If I just show you how we are doing it. This is how our competitors in online education are doing it, and this is how we are doing it. So can I play this? How do I play this? All right. So here's one of the methods that our competitors, global education provider LSBF, is doing. So what they do is...
And as far as Augusta is concerned, which is the other company, we've got their...
The teacher is only at the bottom side of the
over time,
video.
and in our industry,
this is how another
is the present ratio not
another
typical?
company is doing it. Learn Signal.
Or if the current
so they don't have a tutor in front of the camera. This is how we are doing it. So we have a learning glass where the teacher is writing in front of the glass, and that gets flipped. All right. So this is myself teaching one other topic in accounting education. So we do it in local Urdu language. One of the differentiating factors of our company is that we have a pretty good instructional design team. So we really focus on to make sure that our instructional design team enhances and creates experiences which are really valuable for the students. The other thing that we are doing is that we have complete comprehensive package in terms of we offer mock exams as well as the students have the access to the live webinars. We do it on a weekly basis. So these are recorded lectures, but then of course on a weekly basis they have live interactions. So teachers also get to consult the students as well. So that's about it from my side. Thank you very much.
So I would just ask the jurors to keep your feedback and questions very brief for the sake of time.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Very interesting. One thing that I liked is that you are very focused on your expertise. You are an accountant, you have the expertise, so in a way you want to remain there and be a niche school at what you are best at. But on that aspect, I would like to ask whether there are opportunities out of accounting. If you want to be big and make an impact to the Pakistani market, maybe there are opportunities to really be broaden up and look at other opportunities, because if your model works in accounting, why not in other areas? So I would focus there, make this work for accounting and then look for other opportunities beyond accounting.
Hi, I'm Linzi. I teach businesses that come through my business school. I've had about 3,500 businesses come in, and they tend to do what you're doing right now. And there's a couple of things that came out. One is I really loved, again, the same, that your speciality in accounting and so forth, and the fact that you've translated it over to technology. What I would have liked to have seen as well in the pitch is I want to see your purpose, like, why are you doing, and I would have put that right at the front, like, why are you doing what you're doing, like, what your purpose is, what you're wanting to put out there. And then the second driver that actually highlights what he's just said is I'm always looking for the asset that sat within the business. So I wasn't quite clear on what your asset was. Is it that you have a unique technology platform? Is it that you can go into other sectors, so you can go multi-sector? Is it that the learning glass is your invention? I wasn't clear on the core asset that you were building the whole business model around and that was driving through. And if you got clearer on that, you could probably increase the valuation. Yeah.
You can go.
So, thank you so much. I thought that it was a very good setup in terms of, I travelled your whole story and I really enjoyed it. I felt like you had a good knowledge based upon being an accountant yourself. I enjoyed the structure. I suddenly wanted to see what does this thing look like, and then suddenly that came to life by showing me the competitors and showing me the learning glass, all of that. In fact, I really enjoyed it. I just wanted to see a little bit more about, okay, so what's next? What's your distribution mechanism? So where do you go to? You've got 658 kind of students on at the moment. And secondly, I think it was just like, where did you want it to get to? What did you actually want from potentially this? Are you struggling with scale, or is it about money? Or so, in other words, just what's next for you? Because it looks exciting.
Actually, because we have actually tried and piloted with 7 subjects actually. So I think our next the challenge or bottleneck that we have is that we need to engage more teachers, because the quality of content will attract more enrollments. And in terms of your distribution network, what we are doing is that because we have a B2C model, but as well as we are doing B2B as well. So already existing accounting schools, we are getting in touch with these people, for example, in couple of other cities in Pakistan. And we have already traveled and talked to these people and have signed MOUs where they can refer students to us. If they don't want to study face-to-face in classroom, they can always get to us and study online. So, and we give a percentage of our, for example, revenue to those institutes. So we have to, it's twofold actually. One is B2C, the other is B2B as well.
Okay.
So
Great.
that's how we are doing it. And surprisingly, because we speak when we have our lectures in Urdu language, we have students coming from India, from Afghanistan, from other parts of the world where people who speak Urdu and Hindi, because they are similar languages. So there's a huge market available. And in terms of, for example, and our next step is to get into the English language content, because that has a $300 million market all around the world. So that is huge. Urdu speaking market is definitely in Pakistan only is $38 million. So the market is huge, and we just need to get into and get our strategies right and put the step in the right direction actually. In terms of your vision point, if I want to, our purpose is basically, and our vision, all right, our vision is actually to bring the quality education at affordable prices and accessible to everyone. So what happens is in Pakistan, accessibility is a problem. Even if people have money in their pockets, they don't have access to education. Where there is quality, there is no affordability. Where there is affordability, there is no accessibility and quality. And where there is affordability and accessibility, you lack quality teachers. So these are 3-4 problems, and we want to resolve these problems. So our objective is basically our vision and our mission revolves around these 3 problems actually.
So we're really out of time for you, but I just want to say that I really like your pitch. I'm taking an accounting class this semester.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I might actually switch to learning pitch. Thank you.
You're welcome.
None. This is really good.
Thank you very much from my side.
You can put that on the table. You can just leave it there. Okay. Our next speaker is Moina Foucher de Levine. She's a journalist with Le Monde. Let's give her a warm welcome. Hi, Moina.
Hello, everyone. So I'm a French journalist. I'm also a mother of 2 young kids. And living in a big city, living in a big city like Paris, it's quite a challenge to give them enough air, freedom, and access to green spaces. So when I heard about forest kindergarten, where children can play outside all day in nature, every day, I fell in love with the concept. And I thought, why not expand this idea in France also? So feeling the need to bring back nature to my own and other children's kids, I began to write about nature and education. The first person I interviewed told me an anecdote I could barely believe. She asked a group of 11-year-old city kids to take their shoes off outside, and they all answered, "No way, that's gross, you're crazy, I don't want to go barefoot in the grass." Actually, none of them had ever done it before. And in the whole group, finally, just one was brave enough to try it, and she loved the sensation. For me, it was crazy, and so since then, I've been asking lots of teachers and educators about that anecdote, and sadly, all of them was totally unimpressed. It was totally normal for them, and they had plenty of similar stories of kids cut off from nature. And research had also confirmed their experience. So today, we've brought our children inside, and free play has practically vanished from their life. So their feet no longer touch the ground, literally. And so our indoor children are also overweight. They're showing signs of depression. They suffer from attention deficit disorder, and they tend to be more and more connected to screens. So all these precious hours that they spend daily are not used playing, are not used being in connection with each other. But human beings, we need relationship desperately to grow. This is essential. So, I'm lost. So when children are outside, what they do when they play, when they're outside, we have a lot of research now that shows that they have a lot of benefit, and they can. It's good for their motor skills. It's good for sleep. It's good for language development, for memories. It's good. Basically, it's good for everything. So, given all that research, I think we should consider playing outside for kids as a public health issue, not only education. And with all that need, now we got forest kindergarten that are developing worldwide, and in Europe in particular, the number have tripled in the last decade. There's now 3,000 of them, and the first one are just opening in France. So I've just published a book which is called The Child in Nature for Green Revolution in Education. During my research and the people I interview, I've met enthusiastic teachers that bring the kids outside for outdoor classroom every week in a nature spot near their school. I met others that in a low-income neighborhood in France that transform the empty asphalt schoolyard into a luxurious garden where children can spend time each morning. And this teacher has changed, and the student also has changed, the young kids. They dare to speak, to move, to take risk, and most of all, they also become curious to learn, which is the key when you talk about education. So I've seen that you can innovate also in education without using screen. You can innovate being outside and adapting the learning environment for the kids, which could be an environment with multiple possibility, and that gives enough time and space and natural challenges and also silence sometimes that can be good for the kids to grow. And since the launch of the book, the movement has been accelerating in France. So you got teachers going outside, even in Paris. You got there's a lot of press coverage on that issue because we don't talk that much about it in France. There's no conscious about it. So I think it's really important. And what I want to do now today is to participate and create the first forest school in Paris to show how it's possible to do it also in a big city and show that we can replicate it anywhere. If we can do it in Paris, we can do it anywhere. And the last thing I wanted to say is that we humans are part of nature. We shouldn't forget that. And spending time outside enables us to feel alive and to feel human. To using our senses, we can enjoy and understand also the beauty of the world around us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miranda. That was really, really good. I am going to ask the jury to limit the feedback and keep it very succinct, and let's stick to one question so we can move through all the speakers. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, I definitely like the concept. Our kids should be spending more time outside. I think we should be going for a balanced education, partly inside and partly outside. I think one of the big challenges that you will face is convincing parents that they should be moving their kids from the traditional schools to innovative new ways of teaching. So I wish you good luck in that endeavor. And the other question I would have is, how different is it from the schools that already have extracurricular activities? They have playgrounds, so students are inside but also play outside and do most of what you have presented to us. Okay, thanks.
I would do all the questions.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
I loved your concept and what you're doing. When I was listening to you, I was trying to hear what the business model was, which I felt came right in at the end. And so, from a pitch perspective, my suggestion would be bring the business model in earlier and give your purpose earlier, and also mention your book earlier. For speed to market, my question is twofold. How big is your personal brand? Because the quickest way of doing it is driving off your personal brand if you have a book, and being able to drive it hard through being able to do governments or anything like that. The second question is it a license model or is it your own methodology? If it's a license model, you need to go heavier with your personal brand because you don't own the IP. If it's your own model, my strong suggestion would be you design some form of method or IP around this, because if you could do something like that and you drive your personal brand, you could leverage that and you could sell that into other schools.
I really like the pitch. I think it's an excellent idea, but if a kindergarten wants to transform itself into a green one, what would be the cost of doing it if it was not Le Monde?
Lovely. I am a big fan of what you're talking about with the nature of what I teach, which is more creativity and more play. I thought it was great until I wanted to understand a little bit more about the data. So I want you to bring the whole concept down to the ground and say, look, this is how much they need it. Because we all have these kids and we love them so much, but what they might be lacking and how that might affect their development. I almost want to know how many kids does that affect and how many kids don't wear shoes and have never touched the ground. So I think, you're a journalist, you know how to research and access that data. I think really anchor that into the ground because it will make us have a connection. I'd also say because it's such a visceral kind of thing and that we want to make that connection, I'd love to have seen this thing of forest, just one slide, and to see kids enjoying and having that play. I know it's difficult to, sometimes we don't have the slides or they're not available. And finally, I also wasn't quite sure with respect to, was it more around the book launch or the forest kindergarten? So I think for me, the pitch was, I really enjoyed it. I just wanted you to pull it down and say, this is exactly what it is. This is the challenge and the context. This is what I offer, and this is how I'm going to grow, and this is why it matters. And I think you did that, but just pull it right down to the ground. But I love what you're doing. I think it's super and important.
Thank you. So I'm going to try and answer in a row. I don't think we should have kids playing in the forest all day, all the time. But the thing is, today, they are not playing outside, whether in school or outside school. So I think now today, because they brought inside, I think school has a responsibility for that. So they have a diverse learning environment, outside and inside, both. And they have activities that are directed, and they also have free play. I think we need both. As nutrition, you need to eat vegetables and you need to eat anything. That's the same idea. Concerning the parents, that's really interesting because it's one of the obstacles for many teachers. They think, well, the parents, they won't agree. And actually they do. If you explain to them the idea and what's behind it and what's the importance of it, they're really happy about it. There's a teacher in Paris who just began in a low-income neighborhood in Paris, and he thought it was going to be difficult. He told the parents, and they say, well, that's great, I want to come with you and go with the kids outside. And they've been doing it, and there's a dad who go each week and spend time with the kids, and when they understand the idea, they do it. So for me, it's also important that the teacher shows it, so parents accept it, and parents are open to it when we talk to them. About your question, actually, I've just published the book, so I'm still in that process. And the other project, I'm not a CEO of anything, and it's still a project. So it's quite, yeah.
Is it an idea?
Yeah, it's a beginning of an idea, and there's a rising community, and there's a need, and there's many teachers that contact me. So there's plenty of things going on, but I cannot answer to that because it's too early for me. But thank you for the advice. Thank you very much. Your question was about the cost. Actually, I'm really happy about that question because compared to digital devices, going outside is quite inexpensive because you can find trees outside and just go outside and you just need to do it. So you can have basically no cost if you have a nature spot just near the school. Or you can even, if you're inside the city and you don't have a nice spot nearby, you can just try and change the schoolyard. Because the schoolyard in France, they are very empty. It's asphalt only, and with a few trees, it's the most boring thing. It's like in a prison. So children are bored to death, and they hate each other. And when you got a natural playground, there's studies about it, and that shows that the atmosphere, it's more peaceful, and you got less aggression between children and harassment. You got several studies on that also. So it's proven scientifically. So yes, it's possible and feasible. And in Paris, actually, I participate. There's a big project to change the schoolyard in Paris. And it was on the climate, for the resilience to fight the climate change. But now it's beginning to move to something so the schoolyard can also be adapted to children and to give them more opportunity to play. So it's moving this way. I totally agree about the data thing. And actually the book I've made, first I wanted to tell stories about what's possible to do and solution. But the first third of the book is about data and study. And it was quite a challenge to make it sexy and very serious, because I think that's the key to legitimize it and to say that there's no question about it and it's urgent, the need. For example, you got a study that was made in France a few years ago in 2015 that said that 40% of the kids don't play outside anymore during the whole week, 40%. And at that time, it was a state organization, and they say, we recommend there are action now so that free play outside is encouraged, but nothing has happened since. So, we need action, and now.
I would just say that's a really interesting thing, is as soon as you hit those proof points, for people that think that this is just a really ethereal concept, it pulls it right down. And because we have kids, we go, whoa, really? Is it? Do you think that there's that much of an impact on our kids? And so you have it. You just share it more.
There's plenty of it. And for the slides, actually, in the paper, it was strongly recommended not to show any slide. So I just follow the rules, but sometimes it's not the best thing to do.
Watch a video called The Indoor Generation.
Yeah.
It's had about 80 million views, and it's a video that you might want to mirror and do something around it's the Who generation, and do something like that. It's called The Indoor Generation.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Mona. It's really interesting. Our next speaker is Jeffrey Holt. Jeffrey is the Education Director at the Liger Charitable Foundation. But before I invite Jeffrey on stage, I am going to be extremely strict on time with questions and feedback. So let's keep the feedback very succinct, and let's keep the questions just one question, okay, for the sake of time. So, Jeffrey, please, this is your stage.
Thank you. Liger Leadership Academy is a secondary school in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, serving 110 students from throughout the country, almost all the provinces of Cambodia. The goal of our school is to create socially conscious entrepreneurial leaders who basically are game changers in the country. They're going to make a big difference. So as educators, we're really futurists, and we really need to think about the future lives of students and try to build learning environments around that future, which is what we're trying to do. Really, on average, students go to school in the world about 1,200 hours per year, and we need to really think about how we use those 1,200 hours, and we do think about it a lot. We're trying to prepare students for opportunities that we're not really sure what it looks like in their future. So for us to get bold, we need to do something bold. So what if we could unlearn the idea of current school goals? The idea of focusing on just on subject areas, final exams, or things that we've always done in school. And what if we could relearn how to implement goals that actually really taught the skills that students need for their future? So at Liger, we have 12 leadership competencies, things like dot connecting, building networks, collaboration, problem solving, and so on. We also believe at Liger that who a person is as or more important than what they know. So we have the core values of stewardship, optimism, appreciation, integrity, and so on. And both of those things combined are an integral part of the fabric at Liger. What if we could unlearn the idea that school curriculum is just a predetermined set of knowledge, and we could relearn that curriculum could be really an authentic, engaging, meaningful experiences that occur from opportunities found in the community. So at Liger, we design and implement really meaningful opportunities that are based on things that happen in the community, needs of the community, organizations, and so on. And those are things that really make a difference. But also we're teaching the students the skills that they really need for their future. For example, we have a group of students doing trying to improve the marine ecology off the coast of Cambodia, and they become scuba divers. They're working with biologists all over the world. They're presenting their data at international conferences. Or our students who are building and designing and implementing solar-powered computer labs in rural government schools so that students can have use technology for the first time ever out in the country. That's impact. What if we could relearn that the whole world is a robust learning environment? So we know that at Liger that there are more than 7 billion people in the world, and our students connect with a lot of them on a constant basis. At any given time, our students are talking to experts, mentors around the world about all kinds of projects. In a given week, about a third of our students are not on our campus. They're out in the community, gathering information, creating documentaries, or writing, or doing things like writing a whole book about the geography of Cambodia that has never existed before, and distributed to schools all over the country. What if we could also then unlearn the role of student and teacher, where the student is a sage on the stage and the students are really passive learners? And what if we could relearn the idea that teachers and students work together to create really powerful learning experiences together, where the teacher is really more of the guide on the side and the students are active? So at Liger, we have facilitators, mentors, volunteers, intern, and people all over, both virtually and at our campus at Liger, working with students to together they work on creating and implementing all of the learning. And lastly, what if we could unlearn that failure is not something to be avoided? But what if we could relearn that doing real work, just like life, is really a rich mixture of moving forward, stepping back, partial problems, sometimes failure, sometimes success. So at Liger, we work constantly on authentic, complex projects that reflect real life. Such as our students are right now trying to launch the first satellite in Cambodia. Very complex. Or students who are designing in engineering wheelchairs for disabled animals. We work on complex projects that have roadblocks, a lot of pivots, and always things don't turn out as expected. So students at Liger don't wait for graduation to make a difference. They're making a difference right now. So for us to get bold, we do bold.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
Thank you very much. I love the concept. I think you have a winning concept. Yeah, but it sounds more like higher education, a university, rather than secondary school. So you have the leadership competencies, you have the values, you have experiential learning. So it's what we are trying to do at the university level, and you are doing it at the secondary school. So just make sure that we don't forget that they are still kids at the age of 12, 13. They need to play, they need to enjoy themselves. So adding too much competitiveness, success elements, make sure that there is a balance between all you are teaching them and the joy of being a kid. I would have, because the concept is there and it's clear, I would have also like to hear some data. Where you are, how many students, how you will be growing, how you will be expanding and making a bigger impact in Cambodia. Thanks.
I'd hugely like to applaud you for your pitch technique, because how you just pitched is how we teach some of the elements that you've got in there, from your what-if statement to the purpose at the front. So really great. The asset, I still would have liked to have heard, like, are you building this out to be on and offline? Is it scalable? Is it are you just doing it in Cambodia? Is it a methodology that you could go and roll out into other countries? Is that the vision for this? You're so similar in your learning techniques as to what we're doing with businesses and what we're rolling out into kids, so we should definitely have a conversation as well. I was nodding a lot. Thank you.
I'm actually with the Learners Voice Group, and we have a student from Liger, so
one of our students is right back there. And
yeah, so I'm familiar with the Leadership and Competency your academy brings up, but what kind of testing do you do? Is it standard or is it other innovative approaches? That's what I want to know.
Do you want to answer that? I could feel like you do.
Yeah, I'll just answer quick because I'll try to be quick with some of these. But we do a lot of different assessments, but all kinds of assessments. So if students want to go to university, for example, a lot of our students they have a lot of exams that they might take in various parts of the world for that. But we just do a complete wide, but we assess and we record all of these things we're talking about very extensively.
cool. And then for me, I also really wanted to commend you on the structure. I thought the whole what if and unlearn, relearn that you used, I was like, I like it. I wish I could have copied it about an hour or two ago. But what I really wanted to talk about was I saw a lot of the what's and I could see what the impact was. I want to know your secret sauce. Like, you doing well. A lot of people can say that they're going to do this, but if it's working, I want to know why. Is it the people? What's this thing underneath that makes this thing work? I really want to find out more about that.
I'll just comment really quickly about that, and then just a couple of things. But I think the secret sauce is that we're doing real work, and when young people, the belief that we have in young people that they can do powerful things, and by the way, they do enjoy it, I would say. I mean, we have one of our students there. She could comment about whether she gets to be, whether it's fun. But our students are really engaged, and I think it's because they're doing authentic things. And when any of us are doing authentic work, so this book, that book distributed, might be read by 500,000 people. So imagine if you're 13 years old and you're writing in English and their own language, Khmer, and all the things that you did to publish a book was read by 500,000 people when you're in school. That's the secret sauce, really. Yeah. And we are interested in expanding the idea, and we're trying to build a really good model first that really, really works, and then not only in Cambodia, but in other places.
Like, you're the first purpose-led school for secondaries, and if I could give you one line to put in, It sounds like you're teaching them all about purpose and how to build themselves purpose-led to go and impact change in the world. Yeah, that's very unique at the moment in education.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Shingai Manjengwa. She is the CEO of Fireside Analytics. Please help me in welcoming her.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Shingai Manjengwa, and I'm here from Toronto, Canada, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my startup, Fireside Analytics. Now, Fireside Analytics is a data science solutions ed tech company, and that means we create online courses, workshops, etc. to teach folks about data science. What is data science? Data science, by my definition, is the process of ethically acquiring, engineering, analyzing, visualizing, and ultimately monetizing data or creating value from data. And you see behind here some of these photos. I've got to travel to a lot of interesting places and meet very cool people in my career as a data scientist and as a startup founder. But long before any of these pictures were taken, I was a high school student in Harare in Zimbabwe. And at the time, we learned the traditional subjects. I did 11 subjects at O-level, 3 subjects at A-level, and then I went on to finish high school. What you don't know is that my family ran out of money, the economic situation in Zimbabwe changed, and I had to take a gap year because there was no money to send me to university. And during that time, I ended up working at a cable company that I ended up discovering some fraud. That's a story for another day. But it was through looking at the back end of a computer system and understanding how data worked. And that was my introduction to my career. Now, fast forward, I go back to my high school every so often to give talks about data science careers. They're lucrative. The average salary, you look at about $100,000 to be a data scientist, and I give these talks to high schools. I spoke to my high school principal, and she said to me, Shingai, how do we know about these careers unless you students come back and tell us? And I knew right then that we had to develop a curriculum to teach data science to high school students. Now, it is the absolute right time for us to be doing this because a typical high school student knows every single one of these apps. And if you don't know even one of these apps, you've just told me your age, right? So there is an explosion in data from computerization, digitization, from social media, etc. So the average high school student has never known a world without Google. And yet our education systems haven't evolved. So we've created this data science curriculum to teach data science to high school students, and I'll tell you a bit more about it. We use a case study methodology in which we provide the student with a problem, and the tools that they need to solve the problem are computer programming and data. I'll give you an example. You are the mayor of the city of Doha, and Drake and Justin Bieber both want to perform at your inauguration. How do you choose which one has a better alignment with your personal brand? So we teach high school students, great, go and scrape the tweets, right, using Twitter data from the two artists, and then clean that data, remove the emojis, code them, and then ultimately score every single word that each of these artists is using and arrive at a net positive score for sentiment. This tool is called sentiment analysis. It's used in business every day. Apple uses it with Android. Coke uses it with Pepsi. And we think it's a great idea for high school students to know how to do this. All those companies that you saw in my previous slide are data companies, right? This is the world that high school students are navigating today. And we believe that our curriculum is what's going to help them be more equipped to navigate this world and to find jobs of the future. So we're here at WISE to look for partners. If you're a principal, if you're a parent, if you're an investor, and you are interested in a data science curriculum or implementing it at your institution or implementing it at an institution you know, please have a conversation because we're looking to license this curriculum. It's inspected by the Ministry of Education in Canada. We have 3 private schools in Canada that are already using it, and we have a lot of experience working in online courses. The Fireside Analytics courses themselves have been taken by over 400,000 people. And granted, those are working professionals, but we use that same case study methodology to teach data science to high school students, and you know what? It's working. When you hear a data science student stand up and give you a detailed analysis of what they've just analyzed and using data to arrive at business decisions, it's the most exciting and riveting thing you've ever seen. So that's it in a nutshell. Come and join our movement. If you're interested in learning data science, look for us at firesideanalytics.com and go to a high school near you and do a talk about careers and see what comes out of that. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Excellent presentation. I'm sure you've done this before. I liked a lot the use of the example. It's very clear, especially for high school students, to understand what you are doing, and it's the best career guidance advice that they can get when they really understand what they could be doing in the future. So excellent from that. There is, you offer the call to action, what you are looking out of your pitch, so I like that. It's a very successful application. You have 400,000 customers, so all the success in the future. You have a good proposal there. Thanks.
Hi. Well, I met you yesterday at my keynote, and you impressed me yesterday with your questions to me. So now it's my turn back. I thought your presentation was outstanding. The way that you articulated who you are, your business model, your story, how you brought that in was excellent. I love the fact that you talked about data science as a curriculum and also the fact that you put at the end the 400,000. I really heard that you wanted to create a movement, which I thought was excellent. One of the key things I would have added in is are you technology based as well? So do you have a technology platform? Is it on and offline, or are you looking to build offline? Because if you're looking to get funding around you or somebody to invest in you and so forth, they will want to hear how you're going to scale this, and you've just given them a massive value that you have 400,000 people sat there. So now they'd want to know how you're going to scale that and how do you increase the engagement.
So the high school it's a twofold model. One is B2C, where the curriculum is available directly to students, so they can log on to firesideanalytics.academy and take the program completely online, and it's already up and running and functional. And then today, the main thing we're looking out of Doha is to do the B2B part, where if you're a school or an institution and you want to adopt a data science curriculum, we've done the heavy lifting for you. We've got all the lesson plans and case studies. Then you can adopt our curriculum and we'll license it to you.
So will you build a double-sided platform that enters from both sides, B2B and B2C? Is that the plan?
Yes, so the B2C one is up and running, but all schools have an LMS, for the most part, a learning management system.
Yeah.
We are happy to put the the content onto your existing LMS. We work with Moodle, Canvas, OpenEDX, whatever you're working with. We have developers that are able to do that, and if you want to build one, we can do that too.
An asset for you then is to own your own platform and bring the B2B and the B2C onto your platform, even if they're doing it in a community space, and then they're going back onto theirs to learn, because then you hold the engagement and you can then get all the data off that and get it back to the people that you've got on your platform.
Thank you. You said data, the magic word.
Hello, there we go. Thank you very much. I also thought it was a really great pitch. I'm not even going to comment on anything else. I actually just had one comment, which was that people are talking about data as the new gold, and like almost kind of spelling that out and painting that picture a little bit more in terms of, because I actually didn't know enough about data science until you got cracking on it, and I was like, wow, that's really incredible. And then it made me really think about the importance of data. But the flip side to that, and I'd be interested to hear what you have to say to that, is what does one do around the ethical use and capturing of data? Because if it's the new gold, but we need to do it really correctly, that could really catch light. That's really compelling for me. As a school, I'd go, yeah, if you're talking about ethics with respect to data, and you're talking about like, hey, this is the future, the lights really go on even further.
Thank you. And in my definition of data science, the very first piece was ethically acquiring. And we definitely do have a module that covers cybersecurity and data privacy issues.
I agree with the rest of the jury. It was an excellent pitch. It's a wonderful idea, and it looks like a very interesting platform to browse. And I just want to say that I'm very impressed by your purpose and the mission you pursue, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you very much. I also have a children's book about data science for age 5 to 12 that I'm going to give to the judges, but you can find out more at firesideanalytics.com. Thank you.
You executed us on time. Thank you so much for that. Sure. It's okay. You can just put it on the table. That's fine. Can I have the speaker, please? Yeah. Thank you. All right. Our next speaker, we have Professor Debashish Chatterjee. He's the director of the Indian Institute of Management. Please join me in welcoming him on stage.
First, I'm very grateful to the WISE community for giving me an opportunity to be here, to be able to share an idea. The context is India, and just to give you a sense of India that I represent, 1.3 billion people, country of aspiration and desperation at the same time. The school I lead, the school I head, has 240,000 applications this year for 400 seats that I'm going to fill in. And there are schools out there which is no classroom, it is one teacher, no blackboards, and no students. Now, how does one cross this bridge? I decided to share stories, because stories heard in the lap, not in an app, is the primary mode through which you can connect with the other India. And the story that I'm going to share is going to be the form of a book that's going to evangelize some ideas which needs to go up there. The story is about an elephant that is about to cross a bridge. And the elephant crosses the bridge every day the way it does. What it does not see is a mouse hovering around its feet and asking a question, "Brother, can I get a ride on your back?" The elephant says nothing because it can't hear the mouse's voice. And the mouse says, "Brother, since silence is another name for consent, I decide to get on your back anyway." As the elephant is going through the bridge, the mouse says, "Brother, two of us can be very heavy, so watch out." Elephant can't hear a thing, so it doesn't respond. And as the mouse is about to see the bridge being crossed, the elephant comes to the end of it. Mouse says, "Brother, see how I guided you through. Here is my business card. Here's my cell phone number. Contact me whenever you need help." And the elephant thinks there's some irritating voice around here. Doesn't really know what that voice is all about. Elephant moves on. Now, I don't end the story. This is a half-baked story that's heard by 15,000 school teachers and principals. And I'm crowdsourcing wisdom. I don't know who the elephant is. I don't know who the mouse is. More importantly, I don't know what that bridge is all about. But I have a story to tell, and others have a story to share. And so we co-create the story to face a challenge. And the number one challenge, talking to the school teachers and school principals, this is my part-time job out of the business school for the last 30 years. And the story that I hear is that the number one challenge of the other India is distraction. Some technologically caused, some caused by human endeavors. But that distraction results in misconduct, misbehavior, disengagement. And when you look at disengaged parenting, the stories we share and tell is about 9 minutes parenting, because the first 3 minutes when the child gets up from bed, the mother wants to hear the child's stories in the night. The next 3 minutes when the child comes back from the school, and the final 3 minutes before the child goes to sleep. Now these are stories. And if I look at this, the solution is to mindlessness is obviously mindfulness. And this is a word that has come from the Buddhist tradition of India. And it has taken an aura and a shape that's completely different from its origins. In short, for me, the story of mindfulness is fundamentally about presence and pause. There are only two things here. Presence is about being aware of the world outside, and pause is when you look at the deep world inside you. Presence is about the time that you are in. Pause is about timeless. Presence is horizontal. Pause is vertical. Presence is attention. Pause is awareness. Now, the stories that we tell are fundamentally grounded in this deep reality. So if you decode mindfulness, it means being mindful of your everyday actions, being mindful of your thoughts and emotions, and then being aware of your awareness itself. These are the three levels. Now, how does this work in practice? How does the solution work in practice? Now, I have a book that will be read in 23 languages by 100,000 teachers. Many of them I've met personally, face to face. And then if you look at each teacher having the power of influencing 2,000 students in a career, we are looking at 20 million people, young kids, teachers, parents being influenced. That's about 70 times the population of Qatar. That's my audacious goal. That's my aspiration from the business school. And thank you for listening in. Shukran. Namaste. Hopefully this was under 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Thanks for that. I'm not entirely sure what you are pitching, because the first part was very clear that there is a gap in terms of the seats that you have at your school. There are 240,000 applications and only 400 seats. So I expected that the pitch was about that, how you are going to fulfill those applications. And then it was about the mindfulness, which is very relevant. There are multiple applications out there that are promoting mindfulness, and they are.
Sure.
Some of them are successful, some are not. So the key question I have is, which one of the two are you targeting, and what is the differentiation that you are bringing to the market to capture the audience, whatever audience you are after?
I use the first story as a metaphor to tell you that the other India is much, much bigger. The one that we live behind, much bigger than the one we include. So that was just a way to tell you about the size of the ones that we live behind. And I said to you that the solution that we are offering is not just an app-based solution. We are not talking about the market alone. We are talking about a non-market reality here. And the mode through which you communicate with these children, with the teachers who can't even sometimes read or write, is not through an app. And I think there is enough of technology that we have heard, and some of that technology requires a basic background, which that India does not have. I thought the best way to fill that gap is to take the whole issue of paying mindful attention to things that are missing in the way we address that group. It can't be in the same manner that we address the ones that make it, right? So the mode of doing that would be a storybook, which I hope we will will be translated in 23 languages, because that many languages is what India speaks. And I hope that the teachers one has engaged in will be able to influence others, because the stories remain with them much after the theories are forgotten. So that was basically the pitch. I'm sorry, I should have made this abundantly clear to you, but I was using just a metaphor to, yes. Go ahead, please.
In the same vein that you are, I'm not sure what your business is. Is the business the storybook?
The product is the book.
Okay, but is the business, like, what is the business? Are you an education curriculum based off a book that you're trying to drive into schools to be able to educate on mindfulness? Is that the business model?
The clear understanding is that the ability to bring back students to class, the ability to get them to engage in learning, is all predicated on this single value, which is mindfulness.
Okay.
But this word is not understood unless it is told in the form of stories. So the book evangelizes many dimensions of mindfulness. The core issue is mindfulness.
So a book is an awareness product.
It's a product.
It's an awareness product that drives awareness around different people. But
and
it's
classes.
Not, but it's not
and
a
workshops. Workshops based on
it's not a business model.
Yeah.
So is the business model a curriculum that you're trying to put into schools to be able to educate on mindfulness, and the book is the awareness product that you're driving in the marketplace to create the awareness?
Precisely.
Okay.
Precisely.
Right,
just the awareness level, not to pitch it as a business. Just the beginning. That's the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I initially thought that the idea you were presenting was like bringing human emotions and connections into teaching and technology.
Right.
But then the whole book thing came in. So
sure.
I think it's a little obvious that my recommendation is
sure.
that you are a little more direct about what you're trying to pitch.
Sure.
So that I'm not this confused.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clearly evident that you've got the knowledge and how you took us on the journey around understanding the depth of mindfulness. My brother is a mindfulness teacher. So I really appreciate it and I like it. You've got the reach, you've got the impact, you've got the position, you've got the connections with all those teachers that you said. So I think all the stars align for you, but it comes down very simply to, okay, so we got the book. It's funny how you answered Harris's first question. I was like, aha, now I'm getting it. So the answers to these questions that we've asked you, almost bang those out up front. And then I'm like, okay, so you've got a book and essentially some form of curriculum or engagement. You're teaching mindfulness and values-based mindfulness and that how you're going to take it out there. So I would almost spend the first 45 seconds or after that initial analogy, just fill that gap, because how you've answered the questions are much, much clearer. I think it comes to that structure of presentation thing. It's just challenge, context, what it is, where you're going to take it, how it's going to end up, and the impact that it's going to make.
Thank you.
So,
that would help. Appreciate
Good.
that.
Thank you.
Appreciate
okay.
your time.
Ciao.
Thank you so much, Professor Chatterjee. Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of our speakers. Thank you so much. And in conclusion, being an entrepreneur myself, it's quite daunting. It takes a lot of energy and time to put these pitches together, and also be able to eloquently present your idea. So please, let's give a round of applause to all our speakers today. So for the next stage, I'm going to ask the jury to just move to the side and deliberate for about 2 minutes and decide who the winning speaker is. And we're going to come back to you all and announce who the winning speaker is. So let's just give us 2 minutes. Okay.
So it was a really difficult, I have to say, discussion. And there were two people that we really, really liked and saw a huge value in their businesses. However, there was one particular one that we saw that could have absolutely enormous impact, not only around their own country, but actually on a scalable way. And that is Jeffrey Holt. And I'd like to say the reason that we chose you was because we saw there were a few different reasons. One, your pitch was exceptional. Your structure, how you pitched, the way you led with your purpose. You went into a what-if statement. You were able to identify your business model. You were able to bring in even the conference around unlearn, relearn. You engaged us. You understood what the business model was, and you were able to tell us how to scale it. And the second thing that we all identified in that space was the fact that your asset, what you have built in there, not only will it impact the kids in your country, but if I was going to work with you, you would scale globally very quickly. So I really commend you. I'd also like to commend the rest of the speakers because you all had exceptional businesses and it was very hard to choose. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Linzi. Thank you so much for your feedback, the questions. I'm sure the speakers are taking some of your advice back to improve their own organizations and for-profit companies that they are building. That's it for the pitch it. There's going to be another session in about 25 minutes. So if you want to stay for that session, please, you're more than welcome to stay. But this is it for us. Feel free to grab coffee, water, and everything else. Yeah. Thank you.